This episode is sponsored by Noom. If you're like me, you may have seen a lot online about GLP-1 medication. Noom is a leader in behavior change weight loss, and they now offer Noom GLP-1, a compounded semaglutide. Noom GLP-1 is affordable. It starts at only $149. I feel like a lot of people think these type of medications may be out of their reach financially, but Noom offer a very affordable option at $149. For those that qualify, Noom GLP-1 is available and ships to your door in 7 days. Noom combines their proven weight loss program with GLP-1s so that you can lose weight and keep it off, which I know sometimes you can lose the weight. It's always hard to keep it off, but Noom's GLP-1s can really help with that. Noom GLP-1 comes with Companion, which is your guide to better and more sustainable GLP-1 weight loss, which is so helpful.
With Noom GLP-1, you get access to a doctor, a coach, and a supportive community, all from within the app on your phone. Ask your care team anything and get support with medication and side effect management. Noom GLP-1 starts at $149 and is delivered to your door in 7 days. Start your GLP-1 journey today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com. Noom, the smart way to lose weight. Disclaimer, not all customers will medically qualify for prescription medications. Compounded medications are not reviewed by the FDA for safety, efficacy, or quality.
The True Crime Society podcast contains adult themes and violence and is not intended for all audiences. Listener discretion is advised. And if you'd like to skip the intro or move to any specific part of the podcast, please refer to the timestamps listed in the episode description. Thank you.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of True Crime Society podcast with Stephanie and Olivia. It is April 10th, 2025. It's so funny because I know we talk about the same things in every intro. It's either like the weather, the date, the passage of time, whatever. But today at my job, because we manufacture things, so someone was saying they needed their order before May something. And I'm like, May? How did we get here? I'm like, May is almost June, and that's like halfway through the year.
And even when we were talking, I think we mentioned it like February went for 1,000 years, and now all of a sudden it's nearly halfway through April. It's crazy.
Yeah, and that's like, to me, I'm like, we're already halfway through the year, even though it's April 10th. But in my mind, I'm like, whew, it's flying by.
It is. Well, now we're here too, because we are obviously opposite seasons to you. So now we're halfway through autumn, which is wild. So
yeah, winter's coming for you.
Yeah.
For me, it's still, I had a couple nice days. There's enough nice weather where the trees are starting to pollen and the pollen is high, so I have allergies. But it's also been freezing this week. It's like back in the 20s, 30s. I got out my car today and it got to the point where I was like, I'm not wearing my winter jacket anymore. It's done. But today I was so cold. I was like, it's like 30 degrees out. I'm wearing a fucking sweatshirt going to work.
I feel like this has been a warm autumn for us. Like usually I feel like by now it's getting cold and like some of the mornings are a bit cool, but like my wedding anniversary is April 18th, and I remember it was like I was worried that I was going to need a big coat because it was cold, but it's absolutely not like that at the moment. Like I'm just looking at the weather, it's still 25 most days, which is like, I don't know, I'm probably getting the conversion wrong, but about 80s in the late 70s, 80s. So I'm like, it's very, very nice for this time of year.
Yeah, that's nice. Here it's just like a clusterfuck and I'm sick of it.
Someone did say, and I feel like this is actually true, I have no scientific backing for this, but they think the seasons are now out by a month. I don't know if it's because of global warming or whatever, but basically summer should be January, February, almost March here now, whereas it's December, January, February. Like it's kind of everything is pushed out a month, it seems, and I agree with that based on what I've seen lately.
I felt like that too, because even like for us, fall, I know fall starts at the end of September, but you think of fall being September, October, November.
Yeah.
But it's like hot until October.
Yeah. And even we were talking about, we've got a thing on at the end of August, and I'm like, it's going to be cold because that's, but they're like, no, by then it's getting warm again. It's, I don't know.
Yeah, it's very hard to figure out. My other complaint, well, we're just complaining, putting it all out there. I'm like pregnant, obviously, as we've discussed. And I'm starting to get, like, I don't have, like, that much of a bump. Like, people probably wouldn't be like, oh, she's definitely pregnant yet. But I'm just chubby enough where wearing anything is difficult. Because I'm, like, a little too small for maternity stuff. And I don't want to, like, buy a lot of maternity stuff that you never wear again. It's all so expensive. But my regular clothes don't fit me anymore. So I bought a bunch of maternity leggings that I've been wearing with just like bigger t-shirts, and I've been stealing like some of Mike's clothes to wear. But it's so hard to like look cute because 1, the weather is still not great. 2, nothing fits. 3, I don't even know how to dress now. Like I have to go to a baby shower on Saturday, and I ordered like a little dress that I haven't tried on, of course, so hopefully it fits. But just like so hard to plan an outfit and look cute when I'm like none of my normal clothes fit me.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just spend like all this money on more stuff. I don't know if I talked about it on here, but I think I sent you a picture of that because my jeans still fit, but the button part is so tight. So I started doing like the hair tie rubber band thing, and that's been a big help. So if you know any hacks like that, send them my way.
I
Or
feel
put them
like
in the
you can buy
Spotify
like
comments because we'll see them more.
I feel like you can
And
actually buy like expanders for your pants. So
extenders.
so like it kind of covers the gap where it won't fasten
Yeah,
or
that's
zip or
kind of what I
whatever.
did. But what also sucks for me though is because I wore a ton of bodysuits where like if I'm rubber banding my pants like that, I could be wearing like bodysuits that tuck into your pants. Same with like maternity jeans because they have that fabric part. So I'm also just like, I don't have any shirts. I'm just gonna have to look like I'm leggings and t-shirts. So if you have any good maternity legging recommendations, also send them my way. I've tried the Skims ones. I like those. I know everyone says the Lululemon ones are great, but they're so expensive. They're like $90.
Your Skim's cheaper than Lululemon. I would never have thought that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Skims is like $66
Oh.
for the maternity leggings. And the Lululemon ones everyone loves are like $90 something. Granted, you can get them on sale, but I've tried a few Amazon ones. Just, I don't know. It's tough out here.
It's a struggle.
Yeah, so let me know your tips, your hot tips. All right, so we do have one update to discuss, a very brief one. Forgetful Grandma, Tracey Nix. We've talked about her a few times. She has been sentenced to 5 years in prison for the death of her granddaughter, Uriel, and she's the one. She also had a second child die previously under her care, and that was her grandson Ezra, who drowned in 2021. If you remember the story, we did a whole episode on that. So that was her sentence for that crime. It's pretty light, but if you remember, they weren't allowed to talk about the previous death, and it was
Yeah.
just the one. And I mean, it could be an accident, but a lot of people were disgruntled about it because you're like, she's done this twice now.
And she was, just as a reminder, only found guilty of a lesser charge. I believe if she was found guilty, I think of manslaughter off the top of my head, she would have faced like, decades. But I think the maximum that she could have been facing was 8 years. They gave her 5. I don't know. I actually probably thought that she may get less. Not that I think she deserves less. I feel like it's maybe a bit of a longer sentence than I thought she would get.
Yeah, I mean, it's better than nothing.
Yeah.
So at the sentencing, Uriel's mother, Kayla, she became emotional while addressing her mother. She said, "I still love you. I hate this. I hate that I have to choose you. But you know I have to. It doesn't change my heart."
I can't remember if we spoke about it in Patreon or here, but Tracey has also been in the news again lately because she's basically having sex with women in jail, and one of the women blackmailed her. So this is like
extorted.
Yeah, sextorted, I guess. And her husband paid the extortion money. So like there's a lot of stuff going on with this grandmother. But we posted about it on our Facebook page, and Kayla, the daughter, actually commented, and she's like, "Yeah, this is my life. Like this is basically what I'm dealing with. This."
Yeah,
Crazy.
seems like she's trying to have a sense of humor a little bit about it all, but
yeah,
I couldn't imagine being her and going through this.
I don't think
for her.
Even when she said, "I still love you," I don't know if I would ever be able to say that about this. I know it's her mother, like I get it, but it's happened twice. Her mother's acting like a psycho in jail. I'd be like, I'll just cut her off, I think.
Yeah, I think maybe she more so means like her mother that she had her whole life.
Yeah.
I don't know if she was always this way, but it just must be hard to grapple with if you, until now, had a relatively good relationship with your mother.
Yeah. And she obviously did, because like she trusted her mother to have Ezra the first time, and then obviously she said that it took her a long time to trust her again. Yeah. And then the one time she did, that's when it happened. So
I still want to hear more from the husband, like about the day, about Tracey's mindset in general, because it just seems like something is going on.
Yeah, and even for him to then pay the money after she was getting blackmailed by this woman that I'm just like, this is a weird relationship, but I don't know. I guess they've probably been together for decades and are a bit codependent and things like that. So
that's why I wonder if she has, like you mentioned, like early dementia or Alzheimer's or something going on, because that could be a thing. Maybe he is aware of that and has like some sympathy about the situation, obviously, but I don't know. They've never really said.
So yeah, she's 67 now at the time of her sentencing, so she'll be out when she's in her early 70s, still young enough to have a pretty long life if things go to plan, but
yeah, hopefully she doesn't get extorted in jail again. Or hopefully she does, I don't know.
So before we get on with the show, this episode of True Crime Society is brought to you by Graza. Everyone knows how much we love our food. We talk about it a lot. I spend a lot of every day thinking about what I'm going to eat. And what's taken our food to that next level of flavor is Graza. It's our olive oil of choice, top-notch, extra virgin olive oil that is at an affordable everyday price. We love that Graza's oils come in a super fun squeezy bottle. It makes it so easy for sizzling, drizzling, and everything in between.
It's the best olive oil you'll ever taste. I actually used it the other day to fry up some chicken cutlets in the squeeze bottles. They're my favorite. They make it so much easier to just like grab them, squeeze it when you're cooking. You're in the middle of frying things and you get a little stressful in the kitchen sometimes, a lot going on, but the squeeze bottles just are so convenient and great, and they don't make a mess like some of the other bottles can. So you'll get 10% off your first order of any olive oil on their site, but we recommend definitely checking out the Graza starter kit so you can get a little bit of everything. So head to Graza.co and use code TCS to get 10% off your Graza starter kit and get to cooking your next chef quality meal. Okay, so today we're going to talk about an older case, but I'd say it's one of the like true crime ones that
infamous ones.
Yeah, it was very big at its time. People always have asked us if we've done an episode on it. We never really did, not because we didn't want to, but because it's one like everyone's done it and everyone's talked about it. It's been covered, it's been done. But I do think now, not that's faded off a bit, but I think it's been enough time. And it's not like there's any new documentaries about it or anything where people who are newer to the true crime world might not know it, who are younger, or even people like me who you just kind of forget about all the details after a while. So that is the case of missing American woman Amy Lynn Bradley. She is the woman who went missing off of a Royal Caribbean cruise ship in 1998. There's always been tons of theories about what could have happened to her, if she was sex trafficked, if she fell overboard. Some people believe she could still be alive today. There's really no answers, so it's left a lot of room for conspiracies and chit-chat and theories.
Yeah, I posted on our Instagram today that we were recording about this and we got a message, I'm paraphrasing, but it was, I'm really excited. I followed this case for so long. I can't wait to hear what you guys think. It's one where there are a lot of there could be some other possibilities, whereas I feel like what usually happens on a cruise ship when someone goes missing is it's because they've gone overboard, either intentionally or accidentally, whereas there may be some other things that could have happened to Amy.
Yeah, this is also one of those cases where I'm sure there's a good handful of people out there who have studied this case for years and know every tiny detail in person and will be mad at us for giving an overview of the case. Yeah. But if you want to do deep dives, I'm sure there's plenty of things that you could get into.
Yeah, we always say too that we are basically a 1 hour episode podcast, 1 hour podcast show, and what we try and do is pick out the main points to give you an idea of the case. But obviously with every single case, if you want to do deep dives, there is tons, especially in an older case like this, there is tons and tons and tons of information out there.
Yeah, this is a casual podcast.
Yeah.
It's been 26 years since a Virginia woman went missing while on a Caribbean cruise. The FBI says it is still investigating the mysterious disappearance of Amy Lynn Bradley. The 23-year-old was last seen on the Royal Caribbean cruise ship Rhapsody of the Seas, March 24th, 1998.
So that evening, Amy was out at the disco with her brother, other passengers and crew, socializing and having a great time. In the morning, when her parents and her brother woke, Amy was gone.
The family reportedly said they started looking for Amy just as the ship was docking in the island of Curacao, and they don't know if she departed the ship or not. The FBI released age-progressed photos of what Amy Lynn Bradley might look like today. She also has tattoos, including a Tasmanian devil on her shoulder, a sun on her back, and a gecko on her navel. The agency is asking anyone who may have been on the cruise that day to contact your local FBI office or American consulate.
We'll start from the beginning. Amy Lynn Bradley. She was born on May 12th, 1974 in Petersburg, Virginia. Her parents are Ron and Iva Bradley, and she also had a brother named Brad Bradley. Me neither until just now.
That. But then, let me just check that's right, because his name is Bradley. Surely his name's not Bradley. but I'm sure, hold on, let me just double check I didn't fuck that up. I'm sure it's Brad Bradley.
At the time of her disappearance, Amy had been living in Chesterfield County, Virginia, and she attended Longwood University, graduated with a degree in physical education. She attended the university on a basketball scholarship. She enjoyed sports and was well known for being a strong swimmer. She'd previously worked as a lifeguard, which I guess could come into play later if people think she fell overboard. But I guess, like, in the middle of the ocean, it doesn't really matter if you're a strong swimmer, I'm guessing.
And also falling from a height. Like, if she fell from the balcony,
that's true. They're pretty high.
It's like they say it's like hitting concrete. So essentially, you would have no chance anyway.
After her graduation, Amy was planning to start working at a computer consulting firm. She had plans for the future. She just moved to a new apartment and had adopted a bulldog named Daisy that she was due to pick up shortly after her cruise. Amy decided to go on the cruise with her family in celebration of her graduation. On March 21st, 1998, Amy, Brad, Iva, and Ron boarded the Rhapsody of the Seas. Their destination was Curacao, and the group had a family suite. The ship departed from San Juan and made its first stop in Aruba. The ship was only 1 year old in 1998, and it stood 11 stories tall and 915 feet long. Ron had won the cruise through his job in insurance sales, and the prize only covered the cost for he and Iva, but they had offered to pay for Brad and Amy to also go on the trip with them. The first few days of the cruise seemed pretty uneventful. Amy sent a postcard to a friend that said, "Hey girl, it's gorgeous here. We leave for Aruba tomorrow. I'll be home Saturday, 10 o'clock. Remember, like, writing postcards?
Oh no, I was just thinking this was such a simpler time. And even like with the bit that we're going to speak about, how she took camera film.
15
and all that,
rolls of camera.
Yeah, it was just a different time. Even I was in a shop there, just not to get off topic, but I was in a shop the other day and the man in front of me was buying a postcard and he's like, "I'm going to send a postcard. I haven't sent a postcard in like 20 years. I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Kind of, as much as I love the internet and all of this, sometimes I miss the simpler times. Now I really sound old. So Amy had taken 15 rolls of camera film with her on vacation. That was the other thing we're talking about, like bringing like an actual camera with film and getting the film developed.
And because like film was, I remember, relatively expensive anyways. And on a cruise ship, obviously, it would be even more so because you have nowhere to buy it except on the cruise ship. So like she was prepared. She'd probably bought the film, thought, I'm going to take this many photos.
Yeah. She told friends that she wanted to create a photo collage for her coffee table. After the family got off the ship and enjoyed a day in Aruba, they got dressed up and went to a black-tied dinner at one of the restaurants. The family had photos taken there by a professional photographer. On Monday, March 23rd, Amy and Brad decided to go to the nightclub on the ship. The ship's band called Blue Orchid were playing, and Amy and Brad were drinking alcohol. Amy was seen drinking with one of the band members that night, and his name was Alistair Douglas, also known as Yellow, but just for continuity's sake, we're just going to refer to him as Alistair.
Yeah, if you are reading about the case, you may see him called Yellow. I've seen it both ways, so.
They were captured by a videographer dancing together at one point. Brad later said that Alistair danced a little too close to Amy and that she had to tell him to back off a bit. Alistair has since said that he left the party around 1 a.m. Some reports indicate that Ron, the dad, woke up at 2:45 a.m. and was quite worried that Brad and Amy weren't back yet. Brad had apparently almost got into some trouble for dancing with a married woman earlier that night. So Ron went to check on the kids and found them in the Viking Lounge, which was another nightclub on the ship. He said Brad was dancing with some other women, and Amy was chatting with crew members. Brad decided to go back to the family cabin around 3:35 a.m. The ship used a keycard system that recorded, all the keys swiping in and out of the rooms, and Brad's key was being used to access the room at that time, and then Amy's key was used to access the room around 5 minutes later. Brad said that he went onto the balcony with Amy and they chatted for a while. He said he went to sleep and that he believed Amy stayed up for a little bit longer before going to sleep herself. Ron said that he woke up between 5:15 a.m. and 5:30 a.m. on March 24th. He said he got up to check on the children and saw that Amy was sleeping on the lounge chair on the balcony of the cabin. He would later tell the media that he could see Amy's legs from her hips down. He said that he dozed back off to sleep, and he said that the balcony doors closed because if it hadn't been closed, he would have gotten up to close it. Some reports say that Amy had been feeling seasick and perhaps was sleeping outside so she could get some fresh air to feel a little bit better. So Ron woke up again at 6 a.m., and by that point, Amy was gone. Her cigarettes and lighter were also missing. He said that the balcony door was open about 14 to 16 inches wide at this time. The shoes that Amy was wearing the night before were found in the cabin, as well as her ID.
So interesting to me that if she did leave, why would she not shut the door?
Yeah.
I've been on many cruises. When you have the balcony door open, it's quite windy, even because out at sea, it's just generally
true.
windy. I feel like it would be a weird thing to leave the door open, but I guess that's what happened.
Yeah. The only thing I think of with some of it is they didn't really say how much she was drinking that night. If she was we were kind of hungover and still kind of drunk. Maybe she was just trying to grab her stuff and in a rush and was going to go back out there, then didn't. But yeah, I know what you mean. It seems a little bizarre.
Yeah.
He later said, I left to try and go up and find her. When I couldn't find her, I didn't really know what to think because it was very much unlike Amy to leave and not tell us where she was going. After Ron searched the common areas of the cruise, he woke up the rest of the family and told them that Amy was missing at 6:30 a.m. 2 passengers would come forward and say that they saw Amy around 6 a.m., and they said that she had her room keys, cigarettes, and a lighter, and that she was riding the elevator to the top of the ship. Another witness would say that she saw Amy around this time with Alistair. The witness alleged, I saw Amy and the band member walk over and up to the next deck above us, and about 10 minutes later, he came walking around by himself. One witness said that they saw Alistair give Amy a drink containing a dark liquid around this time.
I have so many questions about this, and obviously we'll never likely know because Amy is missing. But this is pre-cell phones. Often your cell phones don't work on cruises anyway. If she was maybe did she arrange to meet Alistair at 6 a.m. if that was really
Did they just run into each other?
Yeah, and even for her, she got back, let's say she got back to the room at 3:30ish, maybe she went to sleep at 4. She only slept for a few hours before she went again. It's just I have so many questions about how this whole
it's not like she have a cell phone alarm to set to wake her up.
And would he really say come back at 6 a.m.?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's weird. If it was her and Alistair, it's weird how it all kind of came to play.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't even know what to think with this one, really. After Amy's family realized that she was missing, they reported it to employees of the ship. The ship was about to dock in Curacao, and 2,000 people were about to disembark and carry out their day trip. The family pleaded that everyone be asked to remain on board so that a search for Amy could be carried out. Employees told them that it was too early to make a ship-wide announcement over the PA system.
I don't know, it's, as I said, I've been on a few cruises, and what they do is at a reasonable time, I don't know, 9:30 a.m., they come over the loudspeaker. So even if you wanted to sleep in, you probably couldn't because they come over and they talk about the day's plans and what's on for the day. So they can definitely do a ship-wide announcement. I do understand that was very early in the morning, but
Yeah.
By
7:50 a.m., most of the passengers had disembarked to go to the port, and the crew then agreed to make the announcement. And all they said was, will Amy Bradley please come to the purser's desk? Amy's mother pleaded with the captain to distribute a picture of her around the ship, but he turned her down, saying that they couldn't do it because they didn't want to alarm the passengers, which I get, but it's also would it really hurt that much?
Yeah, and this is all happening in the morning, like literally in the few hours after Amy was missing. I don't know how, just even the logistics, like how would you get it to everyone? Yeah, I don't
That's
know.
true. Or like put up some pictures. I don't know. But I mean, I get why they wouldn't want to either. So for a whole 45 minutes, between 12:15 and 1 p.m., cruise ship staff searched for Amy. During that time, they apparently searched all 999 rooms, restaurants, and other amenities, which doesn't seem possible.
Yeah, and even like obviously, even if every single crew member on the ship was helping, I still feel like that would be impossible to do in 45 minutes to thoroughly check every single part of the ship. But that was apparently what they did at that point.
Yeah. The Bradleys got off the boat and went into town to see if they could find Amy. They were told by the captain that the boat would not wait for them to return. Even if they did not find Amy, they had to be back on the ship that evening because it was due to set sail again. After no sign of Amy was found on the ship, the Dutch Caribbean Coast Guard carried out a 4-day search that ended on March 27, 1998.
This episode is sponsored by Noom. If you're like me, you may have seen a lot online about GLP-1 medication. Noom is a leader in behavior change weight loss, and they now offer Noom GLP-1, a compounded semaglutide. Noom GLP-1 is affordable. It starts at only $149. I feel like a lot of people think these type of medications may be out of their reach financially, but Noom offer a very affordable option at $149. For those that qualify, Noom GLP-1 is available and ships to your door in 7 days. Noom combines their proven weight loss program with GLP-1s so that you can lose weight and keep it off, which I know sometimes you can lose the weight. It's always hard to keep it off, but Noom's GLP-1s can really help with that. Noom GLP-1 comes with Companion, which is your guide to better and more sustainable GLP-1 weight loss, which is so helpful.
With Noom GLP-1, you get access to a doctor, a coach, and a supportive community, all from within the app on your phone. Ask your care team anything and get support with medication and side effect management. Noom GLP-1 starts at $149 and is delivered to your door in 7 days. Start your GLP-1 journey today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com. Noom, the smart way to lose weight. Disclaimer, not all customers will medically qualify for prescription medications. Compounded medications are not reviewed by the FDA for safety, efficacy, or quality. Royal Caribbean Cruise Lines also chartered a boat to search for her, and the Coast Guard used 3 helicopters and a radar plane to search for Amy. The general consensus from within the Royal Caribbean camp was that Amy had fallen over the balcony and had died at sea. Ron said that he never bought this theory, as when he first woke up at 5:30 a.m., the balcony door was closed. He said that by 6 a.m., it was open, indicating that Amy had left the cabin in that time period. Ron's employer flew down to Curacao to offer his help. He chartered a private plane to take Ron and Iva to St. Martin, which was the next port of call for the ship. When no trace of Amy was found there, the couple demanded a meeting with the ship's captain. They told him that the FBI wanted to come onto the ship to investigate. They were told by Royal Caribbean that this was not allowed. The ship was not registered in the U.S. and was in foreign waters. Eventually, Royal Caribbean did agree to let 2 FBI agents on board, but they requested that the authorities be dressed in plain clothes to not alarm the other passengers. The FBI didn't seem to make much progress in the investigation. They did apparently say that they thought Amy didn't plan to be away from the cabin long because she left her ID behind. It was discovered that during the 45-minute search of the ship, only the common areas and crew quarters were searched. The captain said that he did not want any passengers who remained on board to be disturbed. So that makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
The FBI agents did question Alistair. He told them that he had danced with Amy until 1 a.m. when she'd basically told him that she wasn't interested, and then he went on his way. Brad would say that on the morning of Amy's disappearance at 9 a.m., he was out searching for his sister, and Alistair approached him and said that he was sorry about what happened to his sister. And this was before there was any public announcement made on the ship, so how would he have known that anything would have happened to her? Amy's family looked back on the cruise and realized that there had been some other strange events. On the night before Amy vanished, she went to the casino with Brad. Their parents had drinks with some of Ron's colleagues. There was a crew member who had apparently been giving Amy the creeps since they had been on the cruise. He asked Ron and Iva to pass on an invitation to Amy to go drinking with them in Aruba. They told Amy, and she said that she didn't want to go. So he'd also mentioned that the family had gotten dressed up in a black tie and they had some professional photos taken. When Ron went to go get the photos later, he found out that all the photos of Amy had been taken. The photographer said they had definitely been printed out, which means someone else must have taken them. Which, like, sounds really weird, but I'm also like, maybe they were going to use it to look for her, but it is weird.
I don't know, like if people haven't been on a cruise, what they usually do is they will take photos of you, and then the next day or later that day, they'll kind of set them up in stands so you can go and check them out. And then if you want to, like, they are actually all printed
Like on
photos.
a amusement park ride.
Yeah, exactly. So you can go and check and look and see if you want to buy them. Yeah, so that's what, like, they are there, and you can, like, just literally take the photo and then say, I'll have this photo if you want it. So someone has apparently gone and taken the photos of Amy for some reason.
Amy's family eventually flew back to Curacao, where the ship had docked on the day of her disappearance. They thought it may be the most likely that she'd been somehow trafficked off the ship, or that something had happened to her and she was still in that location. But they ended up having to return home without their daughter.
So over the years, there have been many, many reported sightings of Amy. 1 month after she disappeared, a Curacao cab driver contacted her family. He said that he had seen her while the ship was docking and that she was running through the parking lot looking for a phone, apparently. He said he vividly remembered her green eyes, which had been described on the missing persons poster. He also claimed to have seen Amy other times on the island, but his claims had never been verified. In August 1998, so a few months after she disappeared, 2 Canadian divers reported seeing Amy on a diving beach in Curacao. One of the men was named David Carmichael, and he actually testified about this for a federal grand jury. He said that Amy was with 2 men, one who matched Alistair's description. David yelled out to a friend asking about the diving equipment that they were going to use, and when Amy heard him speak English, she turned and walked towards him. David said that the man resembling Alistair came and ushered the woman away. David said that Amy kept looking at him and he thought that she was subtly trying to communicate with him. And he was sure that it was Amy because he saw her tattoos. She had some very distinctive tattoos. One was a Tasmanian devil on her left shoulder, a blue gecko on her navel, a Chinese character on her ankle, and a Japanese sun on her back. In January 1999, U.S. Navy Petty Officer William Hefner said that he saw a woman at a brothel in Curacao and that she claimed to be Amy. He said that Amy was with a Hispanic woman, and this is a quote. He said, she told him her name was Amy Bradley and she begged for help. She told him that she was being held against her will and she was not allowed to leave. She said, my name is Amy Bradley. Please help me. He didn't know anyone was missing. He told her there was a Navy ship 5 minutes down the dock and that she could leave. And she said, no, you don't understand. Please help me. My name is Amy Bradley. So William did not do anything about this encounter because he was in a brothel and he thought that if he reported it, he would get in trouble because he wasn't meant to be there.
And he was also probably embarrassed.
Yeah. So he did retire 3 years later from the Navy and he came forward to authorities after that, which clearly is a very long time for anyone to be able to do anything.
Helpful.
Yeah. So he did tell his story eventually. In 1999, a man named Frank Jones approached the Bradley family. And if you are familiar with this case, I feel like there's been a lot of coverage of this incident in the case. But he was a self-proclaimed Navy SEAL, and he told the Bradleys that he had experience in a team who may be able to work with him to rescue Amy. He told the Bradleys that Amy was being held by Colombian personnel in a high-security housing complex. The team apparently gave accurate descriptions of Amy's tattoos and also reported about a lullaby that this woman had spoken about, and that was the same lullaby that Amy's mother used to sing to her. Over the coming months, the Bradleys gave Frank $210,000 as funding for the search for Amy, but Frank would eventually admit that he had made the whole story up and that it was a scam. He was charged with mail fraud in 2002 and he was sentenced to 5 years in prison. So basically he took advantage of them to get money, which is horrible.
Parts of this remind me of Johnny Gosh, just maybe because it's older, just like the scammers, and there being all these sightings, and people are like the trafficking, and I don't know if just because the time period, and it just opens up to so much unknown.
Yeah.
But just kind of like a similar vibe and reactions from people, because I feel like this is another one where it was getting a lot of attention. It's gotten a lot of attention for a while, so it's easy for people to like insert themselves, or maybe this guy did see a girl asking for help. Maybe she didn't say her name was Amy Bradley, but then maybe saw the story about Amy Bradley and was like, oh my God, that was her.
Yeah.
So I think
And
a lot of that
also,
happens too.
obviously I'm generalizing, but like a Navy guy on a break, he's probably been drinking, like, you'd just be like, oh, maybe it was her, or it
Yeah.
all might be a bit fuzzy.
Hmm.
In 2003, there was a reported sighting of Amy in San Francisco. The witness claimed to have seen Amy with two men, and they said that the witness said they recognized Amy on the spot. And when the two men realized they dragged her away, the woman apparently gave the witness a pleading look while being dragged away. So interesting. In 2005, a woman named Judy Mora claims to have seen Amy in a department store restroom in Bridgetown, Barbados. Judy said that Amy entered the restroom accompanied by four men. These men were threatening Amy, or the woman, regarding an alleged deal that they'd made. The men left Amy so that she could use the restroom. Amy then spoke to Judy and said her name was Amy and she was from Virginia. The men re-entered and dragged her away. Judy called authorities, and composite sketches of the man and the woman were created and made public. I feel like this is weird. Like if these men are so worried about this woman being in the restroom, why would they leave her in there with another woman where she could clearly have a chance to speak to her? It is weird, but that is one of kind of the more spoken about possible sightings of Amy.
Yeah.
So Amy's parents appeared on the Dr. Phil show in 2005. On the episode, they discussed photos of a woman that had been emailed to them. The woman definitely resembles Amy. The Bradleys said the photos suggested to them that Amy had been sold into sexual slavery or that she'd been trafficked. The photos had been found by a member of an organization that kind of tracked victims on sex work websites and kind of tried to match them with missing people. The photos were on a website advertising all-inclusive erotic vacations for $2,750. Her mother said, when I first looked at the picture, it wasn't the Amy I know. The picture looks like a harsh and tormented Amy. The woman in the photo was a sex worker known as Jazz. So I've put the photos on the blog. Basically, this woman looks like she's lying on a bed. She's got underwear and like a lacy bra top on and high heels. It does resemble Amy, like that when you see side-by-side images. Obviously, too, this is many years after Amy went missing. So that was 2005. So, 7-ish years. So Amy would have been a bit older. This woman looks around the age that Amy probably would have been. Like, I feel like it does. If someone said that, if it ended up being Amy, I wouldn't be shocked. Sometimes you're like, oh, This looks different. This looks different. It definitely looks very, very, very similar to Amy Bradley.
Yeah, I think the picture is one of the only reasons why I even give credit to her potentially being taken off the ship and forced into trafficking, because the picture does look a lot like her. But
and it does go along with all these sightings where, people are alleging that she was forced into sex work. So it does kind of reinforce all those sightings. But then I think if they did traffic her, why are they putting her on the internet where, people can find her? Like, wouldn't they
especially when
keep her a secret?
It is a pretty big case and it's been talked about for a long time. I don't know.
Yeah. So, I don't know, an interesting discussion about if the photos are Amy or not. Definitely could be, I think. More witnesses reported seeing Amy in 2007, this time at a restaurant in Aruba. They said that she was having dinner with four men. In 2010, a jawbone washed up in Aruba. You'll remember that this is the same place that Natalie Holloway vanished from. So this put Amy's case back in the spotlight too, because people were discussing who the bone could have belonged to. Was it Natalie? Could it have been Amy? Once authorities cleared the jaw as not belonging to Natalie, they apparently did no other testing. This is despite there being at least 9 other vacationers that have gone missing in the area. No DNA testing was done on the remains. The bone is said to definitely be human and of Caucasian origin, and it had one tooth still attached to it. In terms of how they ruled out that it was Natalie, a release said, using the dental records of Natalie Holloway, such as the location of wisdom teeth and fillings, a comparison was made on the jaw with the jawbone recovered on Aruba. Based on these comparisons, it could be excluded that the investigated bone material and molar came from Natalie Holloway. So after I read that no further testing had been done, I thought this was wild. I'm like, if they can compare it to Natalie, surely Amy also had dental records.
I know.
Surely, and as a family, wouldn't you want to test it yourself, even if the authorities wouldn't do it? But I cannot find a single update that says it has been ruled out as being Amy Bradley. It just seems wild to me. Maybe that just hasn't been publicized and they have ruled it out. but it seems like something that should be fairly easy to rule out or to, need further testing on. It just seems wild to me.
Yeah, agreed.
In 2021, Amy's parents made a statement on internationalcruisevictims.org, and I'll just read it out because it does talk about the search and kind of the scenario and what their thoughts on the situation are. It says, Amy, our beautiful 23-year-old daughter who had recently graduated from college, vanished on March 24th, 1998. My husband, son, Amy, and I were leisurely traveling as a family during the time of her disappearance. The cruise ship was in the docking procedure in the port of Curacao. The FBI and the following day, this is exactly from the website, but it says, FBI and the following day they boarded the ship in St. Thomas. The cruise line attorney was present during all interviews, yet we were prohibited. He was also present during our interview with the FBI as well. Again, there are so many questions that require answers. Why would a multi-million-dollar cruise line not help in the search for our daughter Amy? To this date, which is 2021, the cruise line has failed to cooperate with our family by way of information or assistance. The only known facts that we have are my husband and I took a cruise with our 2 children and we returned home without our daughter Amy. Her brother Brad returned home to Virginia without his sister. The FBI has done an extensive investigation into Amy's background. Her friends were interviewed, our neighbors were interviewed, her co-workers and friends were interviewed, her college coaches were also interviewed. My husband Ron, Brad, and I all took polygraph tests. On America's Most Wanted, the FBI stated they found no reason for Amy to leave her family or to cause harm to herself. She took 15 rolls of film with her to make a collage for her coffee table. While in Aruba, she bought presents for her friends back home and also sent postcards from Puerto Rico to her friends. On one postcard, she wrote, "Hey girl, it's gorgeous here. We leave for Aruba tomorrow. Take care. Tell Madison and Niles hello." On another, she wrote, "Hey, it's beautiful here. Old San Juan has some amazing buildings. I am taking pictures. Maybe you can see them at Easter. Wish you were here, Amy." Then it talks about how she was going to pick up the bulldog when she got back. She was starting a new job the following Monday after her cruise. They said she had so many plans and she was so happy about all of them. They go on to say, since the time of her disappearance, we have continued to search for our daughter and seek answers for finding her. It is believed there are certain individuals in the Caribbean and possibly even in South America who have knowledge of Amy's disappearance. All we want is the safe return of our daughter. We continue to plead with anyone who may have knowledge about her whereabouts. Please help us find our beautiful and loving daughter, Amy. If you have or know someone who may have any information, as minor as it may seem, please contact us. So Amy was declared dead on March 24th, 2010, which was 12 years after she disappeared. As of April 2025, when we are recording, Amy has now been missing for 27 years. Her birthday is in May this year, and she will be 51 years old if she is still alive, which is just so crazy that this young woman, 23, would now be 51 if she's alive. I can't even imagine just what her family think about that. Like, imagine knowing they've missed, if she is alive, basically half of her life.
It would just drive me insane as the family just having no answers and it being such a mystery, such a strange mystery.
Yeah. And I feel like the family do really believe that she was possibly trafficked. They don't seem to believe at all that this was an accident or that she jumped off the ship. This episode is sponsored by Noom. If you're like me, you may have seen a lot online about GLP-1 medication. Noom is a leader in behavior change weight loss, and they now offer Noom GLP-1, a compounded semaglutide. Noom GLP-1 is affordable. It starts at only $149. I feel like a lot of people think these type of medications may be out of their reach financially, but Noom offer a very affordable option at $149. For those that qualify, Noom GLP-1 is available and ships to your door in 7 days. Noom combines their proven weight loss program with GLP-1 so that you can lose weight and keep it off, which I know sometimes you can lose the weight. It's always hard to keep it off, but Noom's GLP-1s can really help with that. Noom GLP-1 comes with Companion, which is your guide to better and more sustainable GLP-1 weight loss, which is so helpful.
With Noom GLP-1, you get access to a doctor, a coach, and a supportive community, all from within the app on your phone. Ask your care team anything and get support with medication and side effect management. Noom GLP-1 starts at $149 and is delivered to your door in 7 days. Start your GLP-1 journey today at Noom.com. That's Noom.com. Noom, the smart way to lose weight. Disclaimer, not all customers will medically qualify for prescription medications. Compounded medications are not reviewed by the FDA for safety, efficacy, or quality.
In terms of the theories in this case, the main theory that I guess is spoken about is that Amy was kidnapped off the ship and she was sold into sex slavery or she was trafficked. Iva, the mother, has spoken about the possibility of that. She said Amy would have been a trophy. Amy would have been someone that I believe could have been picked out and fingered to move off that ship. She could have been held and hidden. She could have been possibly drugged and taken from the ship. So I've seen, documentaries and listened to other podcasts about this case, and basically what they're implying is that when the ship docked, Amy was hidden in a room or in crew cabins so that when they had a chance they could get her off the ship somehow.
They're also insinuating that like the cruise company, like Royal Caribbean and all that, is involved, right?
Mhm.
Like, yeah.
Definitely. So I did look up some stats on human trafficking in Latin America and in the Caribbean. It says, this is from the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. It says in 2022 alone, authorities across 25 countries in the region detected and reported 4,300 victims of human trafficking. Then it goes on to say the victims of trafficking, the significant proportion of them are women and girls. In South America, women account for 45% of detected trafficking victims, with girls making up 17%, while in Central America and the Caribbean, girls represent the majority, 52%, and women account for 30%. The primary purpose of someone being trafficked is sexual exploitation of forced labor. Exploitation mainly takes place in nightclubs, unofficial brothels, hotels, apartments, and bars. The only thing I just it's absolutely a possibility, especially based on the photos. I just feel like there would be easier people to traffic than an American woman on a cruise ship with her family who are very quickly going to notice that she's missing. I feel like there would be much easier options if they were looking for someone to kind of sell for sex slavery.
Yeah, I also think it's wild to think that like Royal Caribbean had a sex trafficking thing and they were just like taking passengers off their ship to sex traffic, because I feel like she's the only story you heard about that happening with.
Yeah.
I think she could have been taken off the ship by someone, but I don't think it was part of like some big sex trafficking ring like the family is assuming. I think Royal Caribbean obviously didn't want to put this out there because one, they don't want to take blame for anything, and like from a legal stance, and also because it is technically tourism. You don't want to be like a girl was like kidnapped and went missing on our ship. Like that's not good for your reputation. People might not book their cruise line then after hearing something like that. So I feel like that's all that really comes down to. I think it's more something like I wouldn't be shocked if she maybe was hungover, could have been feeling sick, could have fallen overboard, something like that. Or maybe she was talking to some shady people and they convinced her to get off the ship, and maybe it was more like a single incident of like a kidnapping situation versus like this big sex trafficking thing. I don't know, but I do you think that picture looks like her? Nothing is.
Yeah.
I'm not like that's definitely her. Like if you're like, oh no, if someone came forward and they just looked like her, it could just be someone that looks similar to her.
She doesn't have a super distinctive look. Like, some people you'll be like, yeah, if I saw that person, I would absolutely remember. She looks
That's what I think with all
like,
the sightings too.
Yeah. She looks just like an average woman who, a Caucasian woman. She could be a million women in the world probably. But I guess the one thing with trafficking is, and obviously this is just total speculation, is that maybe Alistair owed someone money. So he, like Amy showed an interest in him, and that when they witness said that he gave her the drink of dark liquid, like I wonder if that was some type of sedative to get her off the ship, and maybe he just did pick Amy because he owed a debt to someone, possibly.
Yeah.
I don't know, like that could be something about the reasoning as to why she was picked.
Maybe he tried to drug her for his own pleasure and something happened.
Yeah.
Maybe she could have overdosed. Maybe he sexually assaulted her and then he was scared that he was going to get in trouble, so he did something else to her. It could also just be something like that. I just went back and looked because I remember she had like tattoos, but of course, like you don't see any tattoos on the woman in the photo, but you don't really see those parts because what was it? One of her shoulder. You can see one of her shoulders, but
I
not
think
the
it
back.
did say she had one on her navel, but like in the photo, she's you can't see her navel
see any of the spots.
It's kind of she's twisted in a way that you can't really see. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I obviously don't know exactly where her tattoos were, where like we just know the navel and the shoulder or whatever. So like she could have tattoos. They're just the angle of the photo means you may not see them.
Yeah, because that's really because you were saying how she has kind of like a basic look, where really like the tattoos would be where you'd be like, oh, that's definitely her. She has some unique tattoos, but of course you can't see any in the photo, whether it's because they're hidden by the angles or because this woman in the photo doesn't have the tattoos.
So, yeah, I think in terms of theories, as we mentioned, the main one that pops up with this case is that she was trafficked, and you've quickly touched on the other ones. Maybe she did fall overboard. Like maybe the door could be opened, like the door being open could be explained. Maybe she went to go back and she's like, oh shit, I'm going to be sick. I need to go back
That's what I
out.
was thinking.
And then she vomited and fell overboard. I've been on cruises. I feel like it is very, very hard to fall overboard. Like obviously,
Yeah.
I've had a look at this cruise ship. I put a video on the blog. Even if she vomited, I feel like it would probably just go to the deck below her. It's not so much that it's a straight, I don't know. Sometimes it can be a straight, like all the cabins on all the floors are in a row, so it would go into the water. I just feel like it would be super, super hard if you were just vomiting over the edge to fall over. Like maybe she sat near the edge.
Thing's pretty high, right?
Yeah,
Like,
absolutely. Like there's no way, I don't know, I don't want to say no way because I feel like sometimes it probably does happen accidentally, but the most of the times it would happen is when someone is sitting on the balcony, for example, like on the actual railing. Just you generally, it would be very, very hard to fall over just by leaning over the balcony a little bit.
I wonder if like maybe she had to throw up. This is me like getting creative now. But since the thing's so high, it was hard for her to throw up over it. What if she like stood on the chair or something and was then throwing up?
Because maybe she didn't want to get it on the deck below. So she's
Yeah.
like, shit, I've got to lean over more somehow. And she fell. It could be.
So quite the range and things that could have happened.
Yeah, and obviously suicide is a theory. I feel like it's probably pretty unlikely.
Yeah.
And one other one that I do think is quite plausible is that something happened to Amy. Either she overdosed, maybe that someone overdosed on something that Alistair or someone else gave her, and they covered it up and got rid of her body somehow. I do feel like that could also be what happened. So as of obviously April 2025 when we are recording, Amy is still missing. The FBI still have her on their website. They're offering a reward of up to $25,000 for any information that could potentially lead to the recovery of Amy or leads to an arrest or conviction for anyone responsible in her case. On top of this, the family has also offered $250,000 for information leading to her safe return, and they have a reward of $50,000 for information leading to her current location. So, yeah, a very strange case. I do understand how easy it is for someone to literally disappear off a cruise ship because if she is in the ocean, often people are not recovered once they fall off the cruise ship or jump off. So I can understand if that is what happened. But usually I'm pretty skeptical. Like I think what is most likely is likely, likely that she fell off. But in this case, I do believe there is some chance it could have been her that was alive, whether or not she still is, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't feel strongly one way or the other. Sometimes I'll just have like a gut instinct that I go with, but I don't even have that in this case because I don't know, there's just nothing overly compelling about any of the theories to me. And I usually am also the type of person to be like, it's probably not this big extravagant sex trafficking cruise line theory that people are talking about. But I mean, I don't think that it's like the Royal Caribbean's involved in it and all that. I would more so go with it was a singular incident. But
and for me too,
I just don't know if I think that she got off the ship or fell overboard.
For me, if it wasn't for the photos of Jazz, the sex worker, I would probably be less likely to think that she's been trafficked. I would have thought maybe it was an accident or something's been covered up. But the photos do definitely resemble her. Like it's absolutely a possibility. So I think without those photos, I would probably feel more strongly that she had died on the ship somehow.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that I know there's all these sightings, but they're just not that credible to me because, like you said, she kind of has an average look where anyone looking back on maybe it's just like a woman who could have been in distress, and then you see the story about Amy, you're like that was her, but like it wasn't her. Like people's memories are not as good as they think.
And the other thing is too, like we spoke about, like, I'm just guessing, maybe 5 or 6 different sightings in today's episode. If people are seeing, and if it was Amy that people were seeing, why would her captors keep taking her out and keep giving her access to people where she can say her name and she can, do you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like if you're trafficking someone, you wouldn't probably put them online where, you know, when the FBI is looking for her, for example. Like,
right, and that's why we say they normally pick girls that aren't going to be missed, whose families are estranged from them, because they do put out sex ads online for these women. But if no one's looking for them, then it doesn't matter. But this case was a big deal and has been big news for years.
Yeah. So I just think, I don't know, I guess unless they got arrogant and cocky and thought, well, no one's caught us to date, we can keep taking her out. But it just seems weird that if such a high profile case that they kept taking her out where people could see her and she had access to ask for help from the public.
Yeah. I don't even know what to think, to be honest. I feel like at this rate we'll never get an answer.
Yeah. I would agree. Like, yeah, I feel like her remains are very unlikely to be found, no matter what happened to her at this point. If she's in the sea, obviously she will never be found. If she is in Curacao, probably again never be found. Even if they're not comparing this jawbone to her, I feel like it's very unlikely. I guess the one time she could be found is if she is alive and is still being trafficked. Maybe eventually that will come out.
Yeah, I don't know. You know, so I was thinking like someone could come forward and be like, but would I even believe them at this point? I don't know.
Yeah.
Because it'd be like Paul Bonacci or whatever his name
exactly.
is. Like, do we believe these people? We need evidence. We need facts. So, fortunately, I feel like we'll never get answers, which is horrible for her family to just never know what happened to her.
Yeah, I can't even imagine. And even just the things like, obviously every case involving a missing person or a murdered person is horrible, but even just imagine having to return back to the US knowing that you are essentially leaving your daughter behind, because obviously I understand why, but you know, you have to make a call at some point that you have to go home, but it would have just been so horrifically hard for them.
Yeah, definitely. It's like, at least when it's local-ish, there's always some hope. Like, you're still there. They could still be close by. But this is like international waters, Curacao, totally different area. It's just hard.
Yeah.
I'd imagine. But that is it for this story. So let us know what you guys think. Let us know your theories. I know that you guys probably have all different types of theories, and a lot of people have known this case for a long time are probably going to tell us all sorts of things. So interested to hear them. If you want to leave some Spotify comments or comment on our Instagram post about it, so you could chat with some other people too. Interested to hear what everyone thinks about this one. But that's it. Everything will be on the blog at truecrimesocietyblog.com. If you want to follow us on Instagram, we're always posting like the latest updates and true crime stories and things like that on there at True Crime Society on Instagram. If you want to follow us, my account is StephSum_, Olivia's TCS Olivia. If you want to see what we're up to, check us out on Patreon as well. We do weekly bonus episodes there. We do all the episodes ad-free, so you'd be getting 2 episodes a week, no ads. We also have some chats on there and like a fun community. We have a little book club going, a book club chat that Olivia talks about all of her books and everyone talks about all their books. So if you're a book reader, that's fun. And we also do the main episodes an earlier release, like 1 day earlier. So check us out on Patreon. And that's it. Leave us comments, reviews, share the podcast, please. We love that. So thank you guys for listening. Stay safe out there. Peace out.
See ya.